President Bola Ahmed Tinubu says he is saddened by the deaths of the Nigerian Air Force officers who lost their lives in a helicopter crash in Niger State. The crash of the NAF's Mi-171 helicopter during a casualty evaluation operation near Chukuba village in Shiroro local government area of the state. In a statement, President Tinubu remarked that the officers would forever be etched in the memory of Nigerians as national heroes. While engaged in an evacuation mission, these officers and men displayed unwavering commitment. The president lauded the officers' courage, emphasizing their selflessness in the execution of their national responsibility. The federal government, through the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, has commenced the construction of their first avia cargo village in the country. The move, according to FAN, is engaged towards transforming the country into an export-driven economy and also a hub for agro-export in Africa. The cargo village occupies 27,000 square meters land mass and can accommodate all the export processes at the airport. Reports have it that since the introduction of air cargo system in the country, successive governments have failed to facilitate more exports by air despite the availability of goods in the country. A reflection of the development shows that the sector's share of total trade volume appears abysmal as most aircrafts leave the country almost empty. But in reaction to the development, the managing director of FAN, Kabir Mohammed, while speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony, stated that establishing an avia cargo village was identified as one of the quick wins in addressing the rejection of agro-export from Nigeria and increasing the country's exports and earnings. The federal government will arraign suspended Central Bank of Nigeria CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele and his associates for 6.9 billion naira procurement fraud at the Federal Capital Territory in the FCT High Court in Abuja. Emefiele will be arraigned alongside a female CBN employee, Saada Tuyaro, at her company on 20 charges of procurement fraud, conspiracy, and conferring corrupt advantages on his associates. The embattled Apex Bank chief, who has been in detention since he was suspended from office on June the 9th, 2023, was accused of conferring corruption advantages on Yaro. The offense is contrary to Section 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. In the charges signed by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Federal Ministry of Justice, Mohammed Abubakar, the Deputy Director of Public Prosecution, Nkiru Jones Nebo, and 8 other ministry officials. The 3 accused persons were alleged to have bought a fleet of over 98 exotic vehicles and armored buses valued at 6.9 billion naira. The federal government has insisted that no federal university is allowed to charge tuition fees said this at a public hearing by the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on Student Loans in Abuja. Adejo said that the recent increase in charges by federal universities in the country was unfortunate. He said what they collect is charges to cover the cost of accommodation, ICT, and power, among others. It is the governing councils of the universities that have the power to approve such charges for them. He also mentioned that the only university that has increased charges after the signing of the Student Loans Act is the University of Lagos. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the just concluded 2023 elections, Atiku Abubakar, has slammed President Bola Tinubu over the destruction of billboards in strategic locations in the Federal Capital Territory, drawing public attention to the judiciary as Nigerians await the verdict of the Presidential Election Petition Court. The federal government has disbanded the Secretariat of the Advertising Standard Panel due to its endorsement of billboards accused of attempting to manipulate the verdict of the presidential election petition tribunal with the slogan, "All eyes on the judiciary." A statement by the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria had earlier conveyed the dissolution of the panel. The ASP, a statutory panel within the council, is tasked with ensuring that advertisements adhere to the prevailing laws of the Federation and the Code of Ethics for Advertising Professionals. And now to the foreign scene. The first victims from the deadly wildfires that swept Maui Islands last week have been identified by officials. Maui's police department named the first two victims as Robert Diekman, 74, and Birdie Jantok, 79, both from the town of Lahaina. According to reports, the death toll from the fires has now reached 106, with about 1,300 missing. Hawaii's Governor Josh Green said it's likely to take several more days for authorities to reach an accurate figure for the number who died. And meanwhile, Maui's County Mayor Richard Bison said they offer their deepest condolences to the families who are beginning to receive notifications about their loved ones. He said authorities have identified 3 other individuals whose next of kin will be informed. United States President Joe Biden has said he will travel to Hawaii as soon as he can amid criticisms of his government's response. And now to the world of sports. It was a sad end to Nigeria's pre-Olympics qualifiers after the Tigers lost their second consecutive game to Mali at the Echo Convention Center in Lagos. After losing their first game of the qualifiers to Senegal, Ogo Odaudu's side needed a win to get back on track, but they failed, losing 77-68 to the Malians. Once again, the team had the game in their hands but threw it away in the fourth quarter as it was against Senegal, who beat them 93-87 in their first game. The first quarter of the game was an evenly contested encounter, but Nigeria managed to win the tie 17-15. The second quarter saw a better performance from Odaudu's men, with Chimeze Metu leading the charge. Ike Oregbu was also in fine form as he was almost perfect with his 3-pointers as Nigeria went into halftime with a 43-38 lead. The Tigers picked up from where they left off and were impressive as they saw the game off with a 61-53 score in the third quarter. And that is the